What's going on, everybody? This is City Wrestling Radio, and this is the B Show. I'm your host, Corey Smith. I'm here in the Diamond Studio all by my lonesome self with my co-host of the B Show, Mr. Michael Vergara, who today is apparently miming me while I talk. How are you today, sir?
Doing all right. Well, doing better than usual.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing all right. The world's a little crazy right now.
A little is kind of an understatement, man.
Yeah. But we're getting through it. We're trying to, support what we support and everything.
Yeah.
Before we get into that whole discussion, I want to just say, Black Lives Matter for sure.
Oh yeah.
That's
of course
something we stand for here at City Wrestling Radio. And if you don't believe that, you can just go ahead and turn our show off. It's fine.
Yeah, leave a like before you get out of here. Don't let the door.
Yeah, trip over the like and share, and then get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I know. It's something of a topic that I feel like should always be approached. It's something that I always thought to myself, like, oh, this is going to be an easy thing to talk about, but we're at this moment in time where we do need to really, reflect and listen to the matters that be. Sometimes there comes to a point where, and I feel like we're reaching that point. In fact, I don't even think we're even reached that point yet. I think it's just about where we have to kind of call out the systematic racial injustices in this world. And I mean, as demonstrated by millions upon millions of people demonstrating throughout this week, which we're here. I mean, I'll speak for everybody here in City Wrestling Radio. We are all for, and it's kind of an interesting crescendo if you're looking at it, broadly, because we're in the middle of a global pandemic, and then we have the murder of George Floyd, and it's more. I don't want to say it's more potent, it's right, like everybody's reacting rightfully so.
Yeah.
But and it's also just
I mean,
it's something interesting to look at, and not again, kind of it's kind of what we kind of don't want to walk on eggshells in this sort of moment, but it's
no. I mean, there's plenty to say about it. The whole, everyone talks about condoning actions, and then people talk about the looting and everything. I don't sit here and condone looting. I will say this though: would people be talking about these protests as much if there was no looting? If people weren't rising up, in a certain.
That's also a different, that is a very, very gigantic conversation in and of itself within the narrative the media is spinning, because no matter what, the media will always have a narrative in and of itself, objective or not objective. It's just how you present it.
But I mean, I think we could speak for Jose too, and like I said, we all support the Black Lives Matter movement. We don't. I mean, fuck. It's I guess being born and raised in San Francisco, things like this just come naturally. You know what I mean? It's just
sometimes you really do have to check your privilege.
Yeah.
In these certain situations, we always kind of strive to just be better, do better, and just, as Bill and Ted would say, be wonderful to each other. And it's like you said, being born and raised in San Francisco, we sort of have, we have a very racially diverse community. We know plenty. I can only speak for myself. I've been blessed with a very diverse background of people. I know everybody from, and it's really hard. And I feel like this has been a sentiment for a lot of people who aren't of the African-American race, where like me, myself, will never understand, even though I'm speaking as a non-white person, being Asian American, Filipino.
Yeah. And I'm speaking being the whitest person. So I will never understand.
Overexposed.
Yeah. I'm Mr. Blonde hair.
Turn down the iris.
So I will never understand what it's like to be persecuted by the police, to which a lot of people have in this country. But all I can do is sit here. All I could do is support and use my voice and speak out against what I see. You know what I mean?
It's a responsibility.
Yeah, yeah,
You
exactly.
know, it's something that people, or that's something that just we owe it to ourselves to really just approach, because
Yeah,
there's an element of truth saying, well, not even an element of truth, it's true what they say about silence is violence. It is the one thing that Martin Luther King would always say, that he does not he himself is not concerned by the outright racists, members of the KKK. He is concerned about the people who are just trying to not do anything.
yeah,
Dal Sim from the Street Fighter movie, he said, "Good bad things happen when good people do nothing."
yeah. It brings that conversation where it's like, you have one bad cop in a group of four, and three don't say anything. It turns into four bad cops.
Of course, and they have all been charged and accounted for now, which it's a step forward. This is like chapter one of a very long book,
Yeah,
but
and
the page keeps turning.
and a lot of this, there's a lot of responses in the world of wrestling because we are, despite the first 5 minutes of the show, we are a wrestling podcast,
Oh, we
and
are.
yeah,
I thought
uh,
we were ranking every single Tony Hawk level today.
but there's a lot of things have come out within the world of the wrestling community. WWE put out a statement, I think, a couple days, after that. I can't remember if it was about a day ago. They put this out. This went on their Twitter. WWE supports an exclusive society and condemns racial injustice. We stand beside Black performers, employees, and fans around the world and encourage everyone to use their voice to speak out against racism. We offer a sincere condolence to the family of George Floyd and the families of countless others who have lost their lives due to senseless violence.
Um,
Yeah, so I mean,
you have that, and a billion other brands that have since just put out statements saying, there is no place in racism in our society, and
yeah,
all this. And,
kind of starting to turn into a PR campaign for a lot of these companies.
I
I mean,
mean, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, right?
uh, yeah, it's true.
I mean, you'll be super damned if you don't. In a lot of
um,
ways.
yeah, so then a lot of people have also uh fucking said some stupid shit in the world of
Yes,
wrestling within the last couple days.
I mean, man, it's
Cut
by way of. I mean, how many individuals are you counting right now?
I can think of two just off the
I
top.
can think of two.
Yeah.
Do they both
First,
start with J?
no. So that means no. So no, I guess
Okay.
no. So I think the first one we're going to talk about is the one we both have. First person that comes to mind is Jackson Riker of the
Mm-mm.
Forgotten Sons.
Mm-mm.
This
Um,
this this young individual took to Twitter
young,
recently. What?
young. I don't even know how old
I'm
he is.
33. I mean, I'm sure I'm older than him. I mean, he's probably one of those guys that looks a lot older, but he's like probably like 27.
Yeah.
He hit Twitter recently. I don't have the tweet pulled up. Maybe I'll pull it up real quick.
Yeah. He pretty much just like Jackson. He pretty much just like tweeted out his support for
It was
Trump.
a short one. He said, "Thankful for POTUS we have. God bless America. Built on freedom. Forgotten no more."
And this has gone a shitstorm of criticism by not only, smart and sensible people, but WWE wrestlers as
His
well.
his coworkers, his
Oh, yeah.
fellow wrestlers, even from AEW to WWE.
And
Bad Boy Joey Janela is someone's got to take a nice shit in his gym bag.
Kevin Owens tweets, "The freedom you speak of entities, no, entities, entitles you to speak your mind all you want. I'm not here to argue that. I just really need to tell you that I think you pushing your shitty wrestling catchphrase as all of this is happening is absolutely fucking pathetic. Drag him, King. Drag him, Kevin."
I'm trying to look for some more. Let's see.
Well,
Wow.
I mean, the fact of the matter is he is now since turned private on social media and now will turtle back into the shell of a man that he really is.
Yeah, and well, the one I was trying to find was Mustafa Ali,
Mm.
who made a reply. I'm trying to find it, but to the lines of he said, "I'm glad you made this statement. It really shows me who you are as a person and who you are, and so I don't have to associate with you to keep my distance." And I mean, Mustafa Ali. I mean, he's someone. He's Muslim, correct? And he was a cop in the Chicago police force, so I think he can see things on a lot of different angles, from
I
I
got
think
it.
he quit the police force because of things he saw happening within the force that he didn't agree with.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Don't.
He's been very vocal about his experiences as a Chicago PD police officer,
Yeah.
and he always thought he could change the system from within. And you see somebody as willing and determined as Mustafa Ali to just walk away from that really speaks volume about the culture that place really has.
Yeah.
This is what he tweeted. He said, "I'm thankful you posted this because I'm now aware of what you stand for. When black brothers and sisters are crying, you praise someone that refuses to acknowledge their hurts." And you also got Hangman Adam Page. You were talking about AEW wrestlers reacting to said tweet.
He just say
He pretty much just responded to a
just
video saying he pretty much just what do you call it? Endorsed
someone
a tweet.
posted.
No, I know he endorsed a tweet saying someone should tell him to shut the fuck up politely.
Well, it was a video Adam Page
Yeah.
made where it was like he says, "Please shut the fuck up," politely, and he replies politely.
And Ryan Namath, the brain dead milkshake of a tweet reads like you shook your phone and words just fell out randomly. So,
Sami Zayn, literally built on oppression, he says.
yeah. I mean, Sami Zayn, another person who's just outspoken in terms of the injustices going on in this world, not just racism, but also going on in his homeland of Syria, mobile clinics and all.
Yeah. Yeah, and
it's a very testy time when it comes to wrestlers and social media at this point. Now that we see somebody who has just straight up just lifted their veil, thinking they'd get the support that they thought they would get, or
yeah, no,
and it's also, and you got to also look at the optics of the situation in the wrestling world, where the Forgotten Sons are in a program with the New Day, and the optics of that just does not look great at all.
What? Yeah, but what's WB gonna do, man? They're not gonna do a shit about this. They're gonna sit there, and what they do with a guy who was blurting out fucking homophobic racial slurs online years ago, they just put him aside for a couple months, waiting for him to bring him back eventually. And
I mean, if you really want to go even further, you got Michael Cole calling Justin Roberts the F word, and not that F word, that F word.
Yeah. Okay, I got you now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's, and you said there was another person with a name that begins with a J.
Chris Jericho, Le Champion.
Okay, what happened with Jericho? I didn't hear about this.
He made a statement. Well, he commented on a comment where someone said Black Lives Matter, and he just tweeted out. I mean, not tweeted out. He posted All Lives Matter, and he's the thing about Jericho. He really confuses me sometimes. Well, not confuses me. He really just kind of. He's a figure that like I just look at. You just got to just look at sometimes, because he comes off as somebody who he really kind of just both sides a lot of things. He had Donald Trump Jr. on his show, but then he also has very progressive stances when he has Nyla Rose on his podcast. Like, he's kind of trying to become Joe Rogan in that sort of sense, where he tends to be a little bit more moderate, but then also trying to emphasize what he thinks instead of just straight up listening, which I think is the problem with a lot of what's going on in this world, where people just kind of refuse to listen and think they have the solutions to every problem that they see.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really all there is to this whole Jericho thing. He has blocked people on Twitter calling him out for, just not speaking out. I mean, not speaking out, but just being objective to his race.
And there are people out there. There are people out there that don't really get that the All Lives Matter is a counter movement to the Black Lives Matter.
It's 100%.
It's not a matter. It's not a matter of whether Black Lives Matter isn't saying everyone else does not matter. They are just saying, hey, our lives matter too. Why do we feel like our lives don't matter? You know what I mean?
Of course.
Why are we being treated like our lives don't matter? We matter. And
they're just not. And the thing is, you say that, they're not going to listen. They know exactly what they're saying when they say that. Yeah. But then look at Randy Orton. That is on the flip side, you see Randy Orton going all out, saying, like he pretty much reversing his stance from the past, where he would say all lives matter, but then he come out of his way and even responded to the people saying all lives matter that like
I think him having
Black
kids
Lives
really
Matter.
turning. I think that was it was one of the first people wrestlers I saw post Black Lives Matter. You know,
At the forefront. He
or
was
yeah,
super on the forefront.
like wow, Randy, okay, like shaking the head.
Here, I'll just look at the tweets. And that's really just boils down to what our show is now, just reading wrestler tweets, because I mean it's fuel to us.
Well,
Well, no, one person says, "Stop spreading hate and segregation. Try unity and working together. People need to change. Not quote unquote something needs to change. All lives matter." And then Randy Orton tweets, "All lives do matter." But the point I was trying to make is that I finally realized that until hashtag Black Lives Matters, they can't get it. And he's Randy Orton just advertising the change.org, Justice for George Floyd.
yeah.
It's really fascinating to see.
Oh, yeah. It's weird. Yeah, like we said, to see people take both sides of the matter. Another person who hasn't really been against the Black Lives Matter, or it's just has landed herself in a lot of hot water, shall I say.
Criticism. I don't even know who you're talking about.
What?
Criticism.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about?
No, I don't actually.
Sunny.
Oh my God! Don't even get us started from that shit.
No, we're talking about it.
Just because, admit Sonny, like the lady who says just because you have a DOI doesn't make you a criminal.
So she hit Twitter a couple days ago. She says, "So all of you haters,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're talking about this. Are in support of all this violence, looting, and killing of innocent people. So it's innocent people to get harmed and killed by these animals, quote unquote. But it's not okay for these animals, in all capitalization letters, to be taken down for their actions. Hypocrites." That prompted a whole slew of people hitting Twitter, including myself. I felt like it was something that I saw, and I had to retweet and tag the higher ups at WWE. Probably didn't even see it, but whatever. I just felt like I had to say something. She says, "People on Twitter unfollowing me because I like President Trump and I'm against all these animals looting and harming innocent people, their homes and their businesses. Fuck, how do I ever go on living without you?" Laughing, crying emoji.
Again, sometimes I feel like I question why should we even talk about whatever the fuck Sonny says.
Because you know what? There's people out there that don't know about this, and I feel like they should understand what this person is saying. The person that's using our voice, man.
Honestly, like she's been irrelevant as ever, and I just feel like I kind of just don't want to give the time of day for an individual who thinks that way and just deplatform. I am a strong believer of deplatforming.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to sometimes you just don't give certain individuals the time of day. And Sonny, what else can I say about that other than what she says is reprehensible as shit?
Yeah, it is. I think it's even worse than what Jackson Riker said, in a lot of ways, because then, she goes on to call out saying, "Oh, guilty conscience. I'm not the one who called black people animals. You guys have the guilty conscience." So it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, girl. I think she blocked us. I can't.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I'm not losing sleep over it.
Are you sure, Michael? Are you all right with that?
I
kid.
I think about it sometimes.
Hopefully no more sunny days in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Did you see what Tony Khan, what he tweeted? Speaking of approaching individuals that you shouldn't give the time of day, Tony Khan did in fact
give the time of day.
Gave somebody the time of day, which was one of Linda Hogan. Linda Hogan, I'm not going to read the tweets that she tweeted out, but she pretty much just say he has banned Linda Hogan, but he also banned her husband, Hulk Hogan, ex-husband Hulk Hogan, from AEW shows. Which
it seems like he was banned already, because I'm adding you to the ban along with your ex-husband. So it seems like he was already banned, but then she was just like, "Okay, well, join your ex-husband."
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I feel like part of me just kind of feels like it's posturing. Like, why is that? Like, I know it's very necessary to respond to garbage tweets like that.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you run a company that time and time again. I'm not the only, and I feel like I'm not the only one who's sort of critical of AEW's notion and their approach to performers of color, people of color. And we could probably talk about this as we get into the Dynamite show. It's that, it's they have Jericho, they have Hager, and they are top players in that company.
Yeah.
Spouting constant, well, more to the extent of Jake Hager, who just constantly spout garbage in their platforms. Yet they are employed by All Elite Wrestling.
You know what?
And we always tout All Elite Wrestling as this sort of progressive wrestling company, And I think it's just by virtue of being compared to something of WWE, which nobody ever really touts them as progressive at all. In fact, some might say consider them very conservative in their ideals. I mean, fucking Donald Trump is in their Hall of Fame, for God's sakes. And it's, yeah, go ahead.
One thing I was going to say is really creepy about Chris Jericho now that he said that. And then you think back to that movie where he played a Ku Klux Klan member.
Oh yeah, no, that's ammunition for
all
criticism.
And I know, like, it's just a movie role, but
for those people, Jay and Silent Bob reboot, Chris Jericho plays a Ku Klux Klan member.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things. It's like, okay, Jericho, it's just,
and it's such a throwaway scene too. He just lifts his hood up, and that's just Chris Jericho's face.
It's like, I'm a Ku Klux Klan member. I'm like, oh, dude, holy shit.
And you would hope that AEW had an all hands on deck meeting on how to approach this. You would hope Tony Khan would talk to Chris Jericho, saying like, "Hey,
has Jericho removed? Has he removed since tweet?
It's still there, as far as my knowledge is concerned. I mean, yeah, he's one of those guys where he really wants to be Joe Rogan in the sense that he's going to have as many people, and he's going to have everybody, and he means everybody, on his show. And
well,
in regards to giving a platform for people who probably shouldn't have a platform, like Donald Trump Jr. I'll always think that way.
I'm gonna. I like I said, I do not support the Trumps whatsoever. I've voted Democrat most of my life. I don't think I've ever voted Republican. Maybe, I don't think I ever have for any president or higher position. Maybe I did and I didn't know it for some local thing. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, that person sounds good. But it's just, but then coming from a journalistic standpoint, it's like, yeah, I can see your point by saying don't give a lot of people a platform, but then that's kind of like, I don't know. It's weird. You know what I mean? It's weird.
At the end of the day, he's got a podcast to run, and having a name like Donald Trump Jr., you're going to get a lot of criticism, but you're going to get a lot. You also got to look at the sense of traffic going your way doing so, and that's that's just one philosophy on how you lead your own thing, and that's who. And I can only have my opinion about it. Like there are plenty of other opinions about it too, and. Yeah, there's only so many roads that can be taken in regards to that.
If you see, it's kind of like if you see something, say something, at least in my opinion. If you see racism happening in your community, or if you see it happening online, call that.
Oh, there's a difference between holding people accountable and giving people a platform.
Yeah. Well, I say call it out. If you see it happening.
No, I got you on that. Yeah.
Nonetheless, I mean, the world is going through some crazy times. Luckily, the curfews are starting to be lifted around the country. I think San Francisco's just began today. It lifted. So, yeah, I don't really know what else to say besides
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. Let's move on with some more news in the world of professional wrestling.
Hear about the performers in the performance center. They don't. So I'm reading this off Ringside News. Ringside News has learned additional details about the recent television tapings. Kevin Dunn was a person barking orders over the loudspeakers at the talent throughout the tapings. It was also implied to the NXT superstars that they are being watched and they quote unquote better add that extra pep. So they're being told how to react on certain situations. Our source in the company informed us. Our source in the company informed us that Matt Bloom showed up to quote unquote to let them know they're being watched and better do a good job. What is this Orwellian bullshit going on in this thing? NXT superstars were not allowed to eat with the main roster. He had to bring their own lunches and eat in tents outside. It was described to us that the future of WWE was treated like crap and spoken to like they're animals in a circus. WWE will have another live crowd of NXT Performance Center students and superstars at their next set of tapings. They plan to record from Sunday through Wednesday before returning the next week for Backlash.
You know what I say? I say actually treat them like fans, like make them wait in a big line outside. Like they have to pay for like $20 drinks inside. And
they have to buy merch.
Yeah, they have to buy merch and wait in the merch line. So, no, that sucks. I mean,
you work for a company like that. You kind of sometimes
they're a fucking weird company, man. WWE is a fucking weird company.
I'd go as far as to say it's a bad company, but it's another conversation for later.
But what is a good wrestling company in today's day and age? New Japan, I guess. I don't know, but they're a weird company. WWE is. Well, hopefully, because I saw Xia Li in the crowd this last week. Hopefully, she got a place to sit down.
Nobody sat down. No, like they had stools in between sessions, and then they had to take them away because, like, I feel like the only justification it is because the stuff we're showing them is so engaging. You have no choice but to stand up. Everybody's just so excited for 10+ fucking hours watching wrestling. Because they tape them in bulk, they do twice a week, so they can
I don't know, man. It's fucking weird, but they got I don't even know what to say on that at a certain point. It's dumb. Give them a place to sit. I don't know. And what else we got in the news today? I heard
Arn Anderson signed a multi-year deal with AEW.
Well, I signed a new deal. He said on the Arn show afterward in Coach's Corner.
I got the quote right here. About a year ago, I didn't want to be anywhere where I'm not wanted. A year later, it seems I'm wanted somewhere, and I'm very happy to say today I signed a multi-year contract with AEW. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with all this young talent and watch this company blossom into being the platinum of all of our industry.
I was hoping every time he talks, they could somehow work him to go like this.
Yeah, every time he finishes a sentence, he just does this.
No, he just goes.
He does the four horseman.
He goes.
Our podcast listener.
Yeah, he goes. About a year ago, and do you know how many quarters there are in a year? He just holds up the 4. Like, yes, Arn.
And then for some reason, you hear a bunch of horses galloping and a guitar, and
Shayna Baszler comes out
and the guitar riffs of that song.
What
a great fucking theme song!
It's a really good theme song.
It's.
But yeah, Arn Anderson signs a new 4-year deal with All Elite Wrestling. I mean, continuing him on the path of being the coach in the coach's corner after the show. I mean, good on him, man. It's good to see him having a place to work and I guess grow as a performer.
Job security.
Security, yeah.
Cheers for good job security, I guess.
I don't know. At a certain point, though, it's like AEW is just hiring just everyone as a fucking manager. Everyone's got a manager. Taz is a manager now for Brian Cage. And you got, Jake as a manager for Lance Archer.
It's definitely a line to be towed. There's some partnerships that I do feel like are pretty questionable. Like I think Tully Blanchard should be somebody above Sean Spears, with all due respect to one
after the other week. Yeah, definitely.
Because did you see that promo Tully Blanchard?
We'll get into it. It was on AEW, yeah.
Well, the thing is, that was on AEW. It was a heavily edited version that I think it was 2 minutes, and you're telling me in this taped edition of AEW, you couldn't spare 2 minutes of that promo, because that was one of the best things I saw all week. Honestly, it was incredible. But yeah,
too many managers, I think. So, and then the people talking about, Sting might be coming to AEW.
He's a free agent. I can say, what the
fuck is Sting gonna do in AEW?
He's gonna. What if he returns to Impact?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Because for those who don't know, Impact this week there was a video
for Slammiversary.
And it showed Mike and Maria Kanellis
Showed the
They
bull. Showed
showed
the
Gallows and Anderson. And then they
they showed the
hinted at,
Bulgarian flag.
and they also hinted at Ethan Carter the third.
Yeah.
So we'll
Well,
see. They don't.
EC3 is definitely going back to Impact. That
Yeah,
there's no question. That guy is definitely going back to Impact.
it's.
I
I'm
can see
glad.
Rusev
Honestly,
going.
good for Impact, because with the way AEW roster like shaping up to be, like when those releases went, like there was a good amount of people that we saw was like, maybe AEW isn't the right place for them. You know what I mean?
Well, I heard WWE is offering a lot of these low budget contracts now for some of the stars they tried to fire.
Yeah. Like for a fraction of the, like they're getting for what, like a fraction of what they got.
Yeah.
Some people said no, some people said yes.
Some people,
Some
yeah.
people said yes. We'll get there for the people who said yes.
Who said yes?
Did you not want? Never mind. We'll get there.
Oh, what? Fandango?
Drake Maverick.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Well, yeah, we'll get there.
But I'm talking about like non-storyline. These are people who are actually offered contract. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, he's probably offered a contract. I mean, you don't even know. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was the one that was never.
I think this was a work.
Honestly, we'll get into it, but yeah.
I mean, by all accounts, people are saying like legitimately that dude was fired, and WWE offered to rebook the tournament if Drake didn't want to work with him with the work those matches.
How many people lie in WWE? Come on, man.
Like,
it's a carnival. Speaking of carny acts, this past.
I mean, all of wrestling's a carny act, so you could just you can plant that
working on my
segue anywhere.
Yeah, speaking of a carny act, this past Monday saw a match between Kairi Sane and Nia Jax. Where it was a heavily edited match because, I think we talked about this a little bit last week, where, we did actually, where Nia Jax injured Kairi Sane by giving her a kind of a buckle bomb, right? Or no, Irish whipping her into the stairs where her head landing right on the edge. Kind of what happened to Rey Mysterio, but real life, Kairi Sane suffered a laceration on her head. It was bleeding all over the place. On the show, though, it was edited out to make it look like the blood never showed.
Yeah, the blood never showed, but they showed a surprising amount of what Nia did, which I thought everybody was thinking like, oh, they're never going to show this. But like, again, everybody wasn't like, there were people who were certainly rushing to criticize Nia Jax, but then I was of the belief like, okay, let's kind of wait and see what actually happened. And now upon watching said spot, like, dude, like Nia Jax is totally at fault here. Like the way she threw Kairi Sane into the steps like that, like there was no way Kairi Sane could have like maintained control with a throw like that, with like something as unsafe of a spot.
Well, a lot of people in WWE have not gone on the record, but have said that she doesn't.
They told Brian Alvarez this.
No, that she doesn't know her own strength. This is something that's gone around for a long time. Is that Nia Jax doesn't know her own strength, and when I think you said it last week, when you Irish whip somebody, you're not throwing them; they're running. You're just kind of guiding them. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if somebody doesn't run, you shouldn't forcefully throw them.
They do most of the work.
Exactly. Kairi Sane should have done most of the and if there's a reason why she's not going, you don't fucking push her into the stairs, head first. It's not the first time Nia Jax has hurt somebody. It's not going to be the last. A lot of people in WWE has said it wasn't her fault. Came out in support of Nia Jax. Where then the thing you were referring to, the message to Brian Alvarez, where an unnamed person in WWE said, this person needs to be effing fired. They're going to effing hurt somebody again.
You can say fuck.
I know, but.
Yeah. I know. It's good to show restraint, unlike Nia Jax.
Yeah, it's just Nia, man.
I couldn't defend that spot. I really do think. Listen, Nia's Nia. Like, she's only gonna, like, she has been in this company for more than 5 years. She's been training for most of those 5 years, and there comes to a point where you can only you can only be as better as what you can do.
Yeah.
And there comes to a point where the responsibility doesn't fall on Nia Jax anymore. The responsibility goes to WWE. Like, they didn't have to book, like, they made a conscious decision to book this match against Kairi Sane, knowing what they know in regards to these two having chemistry with each other. And yeah, you can bring the argument like, well, how are they supposed to get better if you're not going to give them the chance, give them the second chance that maybe it was just a mistake one time? Well, dude, the mistake happened again. So by definition of insanity, you do the same thing and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
And so this is what you get. You're not learning from your mistakes. In fact, the responsibility kind of has to lie on WWE at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I send her back to developmental. She's got to actually train more. It doesn't seem like she's progressed at all. From the time she came into the WWE in NXT, where she was legitimately like, for a minute, I was like, okay, it's Nia Jax, but I was never like, oh, she's a horrible wrestler.
There's value to Nia Jax.
And she's not a horrible wrestler. She just has been an unsafe worker. I can't say she's a horrible wrestler. I'm not a wrestler.
I feel like I can say that. You can say that. See,
from what
here's that thing. Here's what you just said there. Like, oh, I'm not a wrestler. Like, the key, like, when people say like, oh, you're not in a position to say that because you've never taken a bump before. Like, I always object to that kind of sentiment, because at the end of the day, the wrestler is in service of the viewer, the person watching it.
Yeah.
And when the viewer doesn't like what they see, then what are they there for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're
like,
right.
The wrestlers shouldn't be there to feed their own egos. They should always be at the service of who they're in service to, As a consumer, you kind of just have to expect that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, Nia Jax, get some more training. Kairi Sane, get better.
And like, you would have to imagine the amount of leverage Nia Jax herself has from in regards to the politics of that company, because I remember The Rock, I think it was a Sports Illustrated interview where he flat out would have conversations with Nia Jax saying, if to know your worth, like sometimes, like, say, with that connection of being in The Rock's family, like, he would give her, tips on like how to really muddy the waters, right, so to speak, where like he's like, say, like, leave the company, like, blah blah blah, give her like a bunch of advice, and knowing that with that Rock connection, they don't want to quote unquote burn that bridge. And I feel like, is it really that worth it at this point?
Well, I mean,
to keep The Rock happy, to keep Nia Jax employed?
He could be president one day. So.
Oh yeah, you saw that? Did you see that speech?
I mean, I didn't see the entire thing, but
I'll echo what Meltzer said, because I feel like that's what we've been doing for the past 3 years. It's pretty sad, the fact that it takes an ex-wrestler actor to say what needs to be said, to say what the people in the positions of power have failed to say forever. And granted, I never expect someone like Trump to say something what The Rock would say, but that just, in the broader sense, really just goes to show how sad it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, anything else in the news today?
I mean, there's always going to be news. Like, I know, like, just
that's true.
Every time we like sign off on this, the ratings come out, and
those ratings.
I feel like those ratings are going to be bad, considering, because everybody's just too busy watching the news now.
People watching that news. So
people watching that news.
Let's talk a little AEW Dynamite and NXT, shall we? And I think after our reviews, we're going to talk a little bit about the NXT takeover in your house, in our house.
I wonder, you think they're going to have Todd Pettengill? I feel like they should.
They should, but they definitely need to give
via Zoom call. Like, hey, everybody, Todd Pettengill here. Like, to me, that guy is in your house. He is the number one voice I associate with in your house. So let's get into it. Our weekly reviews. AEW Dynamite. Let's kick it off with that. So off the top, we get a video graphic with sentimental music. with dramatic piano music and all, with just words saying, your voice matters, your ideas matter, your dreams matter. We hear you, we see you, we stand with you, and that Black Lives Matter. And I felt coming out of that graphic, I think this was something I think is going to be interpreted in many ways regarding the company's handling of the entire situation.
Yeah.
I mean, we belabored this point before, in regards to AEW and how they manage like, look at that top 5. Have you seen those top 5 recently?
No.
The men's singles, like, not a single black person in their top 5.
Yeah, dude. That the discussion can be had any day for why, and pretty much all sports there are at least hundreds of black athletes that are great at the sport, let alone champions at the sport, current champions at the sport, whether it be team or individual sport. But yet in the sport that's predetermined,
you don't see that.
You don't see that, and it's
because it's
dominated by white men. And
I mean, we can get into this right now. Like, they made an audible. Phoenix was originally going to be Cody's opponent for the TNT Championship next week, and they made that change to make it Mark Quinn. Like, you heard that on commentary. Like, Phoenix is going to.
Well, was it because that they wanted to put Mark Quinn in the match, or was it because Phoenix wasn't there for the match? Because I heard it's because Phoenix wasn't.
Phoenix is there. Phoenix is definitely there. Pentagon isn't. Pentagon isn't there. Phoenix has been in their tape. Like, the only reason why they kind of put it off is because he got injured the week before that Double or Nothing pay-per-view. And again, it really begs the question of them making changes. Like, did they put Mark Quinn into this match, into the Cody match, because they wanted a more diverse show in regards to that? Like, we always made that point that AEW is a very progressive company, yet most of their black talent jobs at AEW Dark, a show called AEW Dark. Like, it's
I think at a certain point, you can read into anything and read into it too much. You're right. I think there's a lot of things happening in this world where a lot of people don't notice what they're doing, and maybe they're just realizing what they're doing.
It's a conversation to be had.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of people, and with systemic racism, or systematic racism, it's something that can be unconscious at times. I think even growing up in the 90s, I probably have said something that I would slap myself. I'd be like, shut up.
Oh, everybody. I feel like everyone.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
nobody's perfect.
So maybe they realize, fuck, are our shows too white? That could be. It could be, or it could be, hey, this is going on. We need to, diversify the matches, so to speak.
And it's not to say that I'm, saying that AEW is, like, I'm not. Again, I feel like nobody should reach this conclusion that AEW is racist, but representation matters. It is a very important thing to promote, because if you don't, you're going to get stuff like this, like the situation that we have right now. You're going to have a bunch of people saying ignorant bullcrap, because you're not necessarily born into being racist. You can be around racism all the time. And like you said, it's a subconscious thing. And then you really gotta echo the fact that, like, do you really should they push, like, you gotta just have to say, like, Mark Quinn being, my immediate reaction when I heard Mark Quinn was facing Cody next week was like, why is Mark Quinn, what did he do to deserve this title shot?
Right.
At the end of the day, like,
not like what did he do to deserve it, but like, you honestly want to know, like, are they just going to give a random person every week a title shot?
It is called an open challenge. They can say that.
Did maybe he was like, oh, there was a list there. Cody put a list out and Mark Quinn was the first to sign it, and there you go. But there's a whole list of people that he has to face next week,
like coming off a knee
Taylor
injury, or a knee injury. But anyway, All Elite Wrestling is hey, I hope this conversation never ends, honestly, because the second that it does, we're just gonna have a never-ending cycle of this.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what it's been like for years. But Let's talk wrestling.
Everyone's around you. Everyone's around Daly's place. You have Britt Baker with a special stage for her wheelchair, aptly named the Rolls Royce.
Spelled differently this week.
Yeah, no, I think it's because the L looks like an E.
Okay.
Because it was in cursive. I get that confused too. Starting off, we got Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc take on AEW Tag Champions Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega for the AEW Tag Team Champions. Hangman Adam Page returning to Daly's place. His absence was certainly felt. I'll say that. Tony puts over on commentary saying Page most likely quelled any tension with Omega and the Bucks for now. Hint, hint. Kenny and Havoc lock up. The dream match everyone's asking for coming true. And gets ankle grabbed by Penelope. You have the best friends scouting at ringside. Winner takes them on at Spider Fest. They build heat on Omega. Ward tries a Hurricane Rana on Paige with the distraction, but Paige catches her from the Hurricane Rana, and then he just asks Rick Knox, like, what am I supposed to do? Am I just supposed to drop her? And then Rick Knox is like, yeah, do it. And like he just straight up just okay, and just drops her on her back. I thought that was a really funny spot. And at this point, Paige does that. Rick Knox kicks Penelope Ford out, giving Havoc the chance to hit both Paige and Omega with a foreign object because he's Jimmy Havoc. It's not a match without any foreign object. They build heat on Omega, backstabber on the corner from Omega to Kip as he gets double teamed. Big boot to a Katara Crusher to a shooting star press on Sabian, kick and a kick out. Havoc tries to kill Paige with a hacksaw, but Paige avoids it. Larry to Kip. Havoc does a jumping European uppercut, aka Shoryuken, because we're all nerds. Diving stomps to Kip to Kenny, jumping DDT to Omega and get covered, but Paige saves him. They put extra work on Omega, poison Rana and all. Omega fights back with a V-trigger, attack to Paige, assisted German to Havoc, assisted powerbomb to Sabian, last call to Havoc, and then champs retain the AEW Tag Championships.
Yeah.
This match, I mean, I thought the match was pretty good. I'll say this: as soon as Ford got out of the equation, it kind of ramped up for me a little bit. I think the chemistry as a tag team for Adam Page and Kenny Omega
they're good.
They're some might say among the best in the world right now. Just the way those guys, the way their offense just kind of just gel with each other. I think it's just top to bottom.
Yeah,
some of the best. Some might argue better than the Bucks. You got best friends looking on. You also have FTR, who are socially distancing. They are just far away from everybody. It's kind of funny. There's a heel side and then there's a face side, but you got FTR in between, distant from everybody else. But like I said, I thought this was on autopilot. What?
They're tweeners.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, that interview with Tony. We'll get there. But yeah, good match. Too long, in my opinion, but nonetheless. Yeah, I could definitely see the argument of shaving like 5 minutes, but we got a 2-hour show to do, man. We interrupt a live raging of Tully Blanchard to show us more Tully and Sean Spears. Tully enters a car with Sean Spears and gives him a glove, saying he has the missing piece. Fucking, I don't know. Like, I'm sure there's like somebody with like
I know that the glove thing is like a fucking gimmick in like old school wrestling, you know.
Yeah,
you put on the fingerless glove, and all of a sudden your punches are like, because it's leather.
It's very much something.
Leather hurts by 10 times more.
It's very much a thing that Tony Khan, being the territory wrestling nerd that he is, just dug up and just like, here, we'll use this.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is, I know the local wrestler here, All Pro Wrestling, worldwide internet champion Levi Shapiro. He has the glove, but his whole gimmick is he's old school. You know what I mean? Which makes sense. But Sean Spears, if that's his new gimmick, that he's old school, sure. But
he's always been kind of old school, though.
He comes up to like really like new hip hop music with like flashy lights. And
I love that song, by the way.
It's a good song, absolutely. But it's old school. You know what I mean? Like this guy Levi Shapiro, he comes out with like an old like Letterman jacket with like the glove. You know what I mean? And he comes out to some old classic rock, as opposed to Sean Spears. Everything about him is very modern. So
modern, like Tully Blanchard.
Well, that's the thing. It's damn.
It's a very
contrasting.
Yeah.
The contrast.
Well, Corey, who can stop the path of Cage?
Who.
Will it be Sean Dean?
I think so. My money's on Dean. The Dean system.
Will Sean Dean beat Brian Cage?
Is this Simon Dean's brother or cousin?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Now, well, to answer your question about if Sean Dean can beat Brian Cage, he can't. Cage tosses him around and it ends with a drill claw.
Oh.
That's pretty much it. Every time, I feel like you're showing at this point, we've reached that point. If we see like wrestler X saying we'll be in action, you're pretty much just telegraphing now that this
Brian Cage will be in action later tonight. Jericho will be in action.
It's a telegraph that it's either A, they don't know who yet, or B, it's going to be a squash match.
Yeah, it's usually a squash match.
And I don't know how much like
match.
I feel like they've overdone that advertising ploy at this point. Which sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it should be telegraphed. Sometimes it shouldn't. Yeah. Who am I to say?
Well, what are you gonna do? Be like, oh, next up, Brian Cage versus Sean Dean. You would still.
I feel like that goes a long way. Honestly, like it gives. You're giving a spotlight. I think what AEW should be doing is give a spotlight to these jobbers. You know, like you have at least a little sense of legitimacy towards the opponent.
Right.
You know, if they have take a picture of them for once and then
take
just
a picture. It's worth $1 million.
And put that on the graphic. You know, I think that goes a long way. Post-match,
one person we didn't bring up was the Clutch Adams situation.
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
Post-match, Taz gets the microphone and he says he's gonna pull the curtain for a little bit. I don't know what I was going for with that accent. Says Mox has the audacity to snicker as how much Cage is gonna beat the shit out of him. They want to be taken seriously. He's Brian Cage. And then he says the catchphrase again: "Beat him if you can, survive if he lets you." And then out comes John Moxley.
Surprise if he lets you. Come see the majestical Brian Cage on display today at the Carnival
of Taz.
The Carnival of Taz here in New Jersey.
Coney Island, right here. Who could stop the Brian Cage?
Sorry.
Okay. John Moxley comes out, but before he enters the ring, Taz tells him to think and be careful. Well, Mox says this is fun. He wants that level of intensity, and that's why he's in this business. But be clear, him going into the ring is the farthest thing from a game. Says it would take him all night long to take John Moxley out, asking Taz to understand who the hell he's talking about with Moxley. I thought this was a pretty good fiery promo going into Fyter Fest, and I think this is just what this needed, you know, an interaction between these two.
Yeah. No, you did it. Yeah.
Alex Marvez finds Lance Archer and Jake the Snake mid-murder after a 2-week search, probably. Like, they just – it's like you just see Alex Marvez like, oh, finally, we found them. It's like they just were going around all around Jacksonville in a field, and he's beating up the nearest luchador that they could find, which not that hard to come by.
6 feet.
Yeah. He's mad over the Cody loss to a point where Jake says sorry on his behalf after murdering that man. It's a reminder that Lance Archer exists.
Yeah.
We get an update on Mark Quinn of Private Party as he was helped to the back last week. Matt Hardy runs into Private Party in a bar. Mark Quinn dances to show his knee is all right. Hardy tells Private Party if they need any help, let them know. He goes over the fact that like Hardy Boys, they thrived on the advice from others, from older people, and he's just paying it forward. Yeah. A Hardy Party trio is proposed as Matt leaves and runs into Sammy Guevara, who's rolling around in his Hit Me Up mobile. Matt says, "We're good. Respect," as Sammy is confused by such normalcy. What do you think of that? What do you think of Matt Hardy and the whole Private Party situation?
I mean, are they going to form another stable? Is there going to be another stable?
A trios?
The Hardy Party?
I think this is just Matt Hardy just kind of going around. He's like the.
Well, is he going to be the manager for the Private Party now?
I mean, he's above management. He's above being a manager.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's definitely in his future. But then he can still go. I mean.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah. But it's just
match. Yeah.
It just to me it seems like that old veteran who's going to give some advice to the younger guys and follow them and show them the way. And to me, it seems like
they're taking a spot.
Another fucking manager. No, it just seems like another like person, like guy. I don't know. I
No,
know Matt Hardy's a wrestler, but
I definitely see what you mean in the fact that like some of these wrestlers can definitely stand on their own.
like when I think managers too, I think of people like I think NXT is really getting it right with like Malcolm Bivin and Robert Stone.
It's just the fact that they're giving managers are like the performers who are being given a manager. I again, like I said, they're given to people who can definitely stand on their own.
Yeah.
Like Lance Archer can stand on his own.
Yep.
Sean Spears can stand on his own.
Yeah.
The whole point of a man, like in a more traditional sense, the whole point of a manager is to shine a spotlight to people who are normally not that good on the mic.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. We get a recap of Jungle Boy, the Jungle Boy Battle Royale win with the corniest music imaginable. Well, at this point we have an announcement that Fyter Fest is a 2-night event, July 1st and July 8th on TNT. We also get like a lot of video recaps going on here. It is a taped show and they could only show so much. We get a recap of the Tyson Jericho encounter, editing as little gooch as they possibly could. And then that brings us to our match.
Funny? I looked back and I was like, this fool looks like a raccoon. Like he literally put like
that dude was super fucking high.
And it wasn't, yeah. Oh, yeah. He was really high.
And I'm not talking about marijuana. Like he was high on something.
And it wasn't even like paint. It seemed like he put either like he just rubbed one layer of paint and was like, I'm good. Or he like took somebody's makeup and was like, I'm good. Either way.
That dude was super on something.
Did you hear about that? Like,
it's really no, because they didn't know that Mike Tyson was coming with that entourage.
Well, they knew he was coming with some people. They didn't know he was coming with that many.
With people. Fucking Henry Cejudo and Rashad Evans.
And I think that's why they didn't name these people, because I think a lot of them were like unsure. Like, well, should we name these people? Can we name these people? You know,
political. Like, can we not acknowledge this person for political reasons and whatnot?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, you know,
they didn't know what to do, and I feel like they were kind of just overthinking in that regard.
Exactly. Oh yeah. But would you rather But yeah.
Would you ever overthink than underthink? I don't know. Yeah. Colt Cabana versus Chris Jericho in a. I mean, like as soon as they announced that on the card, I was like, I guess this is happening, and I'm looking at your face right now.
Sorry, no, I'm looking at something. Sorry.
I was going to say, I thought, like, are we going to get a sense of breaking news or something? But,
no.
Yeah, to a podcast versus podcast match.
Yeah.
You got Chris Jericho and Colt Cabana. It was kind of a dream match. It was kind of surreal to see these two guys, because these guys never worked with each other before.
Yeah.
By virtue of just being in different lanes of wrestling. You have Sammy Guevara singing Judas real good, like good. Drunk karaoke style. Colt starts hot, but Jericho comes back with Ronda Rousey corner strikes. Asahi moonsault to Jericho and Hager from Cabana with some blood on his mouth after landing. Hager tosses Cabana around the apron and turnbuckle as ref Aubrey Edwards is distracted. You have Sammy cheering Jericho on hard cam. Colt tosses Jericho onto the corner off a bulldog. They exchange strikes. Bionic elbow from Colt. Flying apple on the corner. Middle rope splash for a 2 count. Jericho does a back elbow and attempted lion salt. And as soon as he hit that back elbow, I just thought, like, that's the Judas effect. Shouldn't that be over now?
Yeah.
Lion Tamer on Colt reaches the ropes. Avalanche Frankensteiner on Jericho, 2 count. A lot of pin attempts here. Colt really taking it to the former champ. And as soon as I type that, Judas effect on Colt Cabana. Commentary puts over the fact that Colt got too fancy there. And, pin and win. Jericho puts over Colt. Jericho wins against Colt Cabana. I honestly kind of liked this match. Like on paper, like I was surprised by the amount of chemistry these two had together.
Well, I think they're going to eventually push Colt to a position of prominence in the show. Not world champion prominence, but
a storyline.
You know, they could build him up one day to be world champion. Like if he wins the world title, it'd be like the underdog who won the title.
TNT, I could see him going.
Yeah, that for sure. But I'm saying, like, if he did win the world title, it'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe after all these years he finally overcame all these obstacles, and they could build him up to it. But I don't see it happening. So
I think they see Colt as this, this veteran who's sort of above the title at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was honestly surprised. Like, it wasn't a long match. I kind of wish they went a little bit longer just to see how far they can go. But
yeah.
nonetheless, Jericho wins. Jericho tells everyone post-match. Jericho tells everyone to shut their ass and to give him respect. Says what happened to Colt Cabana is going to happen to Tyson. Says Tyson and Jericho is the match everyone wants to see, and he wants them right here, right now. And he asks for the baddest man on the planet. And when he's asking for the baddest man on the planet, ask and ye shall receive. Best friends. Orange Cassidy's music plays, and he is just slithering into the ring. And then he stares down. He puts Jericho's hands in his belt divots because he has no pockets.
Yeah.
And you see Jericho just lightly corpsing, like, look at this guy. What does he think? Who does he think he is? And then Hagar tries to strike Orange Cassidy, but Cassidy OC. He puts his hands in his pockets. Hagar tries to surprise Cassidy with a strike, but then Cassidy ducks with his hands on his pockets. He escapes to the ring apron. He escapes to the ring with the best friends at ringside as they kind of they lift him up like he's fucking Puff Daddy in that. No, he's like Puff Daddy in that Making the Band Dave Chappelle sketch.
Oh yeah,
where he just gets carried by his entourage. It kind of reminded me of that.
I need to get some Cambodian breast milk.
You made my day. But yeah, this is pretty much the program to hold us over until Tyson shows up.
Yeah, Fyter Fest. I could see Cassidy. It's going to be Cassidy, Jericho, and I think somehow Tyson's going to get involved, and Orange Cassidy's going to win.
I hope that happens. Like, I don't think
they're not going to bury Cassidy, especially with how big of a fan Tony Khan is of Orange Cassidy.
He was him for Halloween. Like, what kind of idiot what kind of idiot becomes Orange Cassidy for Halloween?
Move on.
Anyway, yeah, Orange Cassidy versus Jericho. You think that main event's one of the nights?
No. No.
No. You think okay, do you think it starts one of the
it's gonna be leading into the main event, but yeah.
I can definitely see that.
I think it's gonna be a back and forth match, and Jericho's gonna cheat, and then all of a sudden
there's gonna be a ton of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's gonna be a dusty finish, as they say in the business.
I sort of kind of want to save that for a crowd, though. Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho. What are we gonna do?
Things aren't really gonna. I don't think things are really gonna open up until September. So,
man, that's optimistic, honestly.
I'm just going off of what the gym. Like the gym is like, we'll hold your thing off till September, and my work is like September is when we're gonna start phasing people back.
I mean, like,
yeah.
I mean, with the large protests going on, like. A second wave was inevitable, but I just feel like it's super inevitable.
Yeah.
But not to say that there's nothing wrong with the protests. Make your voice heard, speak up, and all that stuff.
Just a difficult situation
it is a very difficult situation. The timing is very
Yeah. Anyways, I heard Wes Niles back too, by the way.
Oh, great. Speaking of difficult situations, we check up on Britt Baker with a very dramatic but comedic montage of her rehab. Like, we get shots of her rolling her wheelchair with weights attached to it. Yeah. You got Rebel just cheering her on. You got Doc Samson and Tony Schiavone cheering her on as she wheels her way into an inclined elevated floor. This was awesome. I like Britt Baker is making the most out of her situation. The way they've handled her, it's singing another week where we just sing the praises of one Britt Baker. It was great. I loved it. Big Swole versus Nyla Rose. You have Hikaru Shida just staring.
My swole pose.
Yeah. Yep. Swole. You have Hikaru Shida with just an extreme close-up, just looking at Nyla Rose like, I'm looking at you, Nyla.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Nyla. That's exactly what Hikaru Shida that's how she sounds when she thinks.
Yeah. Go on.
Side headlock from Swole to Rose. This goes on for quite some time. Just Swole just putting the clamp on Nyla Rose. Swole
Yeah.
puts Rose in an abdominal stretch. Rose overpowers her. Swole gets the knees up off a splash. Cutter from Swole for a 2 count. Swole does a chop block and a big kick to the back of the head. Rose does a spear, but Swole counters a beast bomb for the pin attempt, but a 2. Dirty Dancing is countered to a spine buster on Swole for the pin and win. This got a surprising amount of time. I thought I feel like this was the best match between each other.
It was pretty good.
I liked this match a lot. I thought despite the loss, I thought Big Swole, like, they shined a spotlight from her. They covered for her, saying that she was on a 2-month hiatus, considering that she is immune, and like shoot wise, she's immunocompromised.
Yeah.
To a point where I feel like
a lot of people came back this week, but we'll get more into that.
And so, that's a good cover for the loss, and I think they have. I came off thinking these guys have plans for Big Swole, and even more so.
Yeah, definitely.
And even more so in this post-match with Tony interviewing Big Swole post-match. Swole says, despite the loss, it's good to be back after 2 months. And then Britt Baker hijacks the entire promo and asks Rebel to back up the Rolls Royce towards Swole. So her backing up means she's going closer to the ring.
She is on a wheelchair that's on top of that green cart that ran down Sammy Guevara.
Yeah.
So.
And
I thought she was going to fall off of that thing once they tried to drive really fast. I was going, but no, she's good. Well, the one
I kind of, you know what, like, as long as assuming like she's okay afterwards, I kind of wish that would happen, because that would be fucking hilarious. But you don't want to.
They gotta be careful. Yeah, they gotta be careful. They don't want to re-injure her. But the one thing I was gonna say about this, I don't know why, but last night I think I sent the message to you, but I can really see Nyla as a fucking really good face in AEW eventually.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
You don't even change anything about her character. Just have her but have all that energy go towards the heels. You know what I mean?
It was sort of the same wish people. It was the same thing people kind of wished upon the Nia Jax being face.
Yeah.
Nyla is a very likable person, despite
Nyla is 10 times better wrestler than Nia.
Nia.
Yeah.
Nyla.
I thought it was funny. She posted today. She was like, some guy tried to hit on me while at the store with my mask on. She was just like not done up or anything. She had her mask on. Some guy tried to hit on me with my mask on. She goes, either my eyebrow game is on fleek, or
the technology has just advanced tenfold.
Or he's a big fan of or Melina. I was like, damn girl, that's some shade throwing.
Oh, Mask?
Yeah. She was wearing
Oh, okay, yeah. I was gonna say like Mask, and I'm like, oh wait, that's the new normal now.
Anyways.
I thought the post-match with Britt, so it's beginning to look like Swole and Britt Baker, even though Britt Baker is just
much better.
She says she's returning to All Out, which is a fucking September.
We'll see what happens.
So we'll see. Who knows? They might push All Out to an earlier date. Again, Tony is that comes backstage. Tony is with Darby Allin. Tony says Allin is not medically cleared and asks if the interviews conducted by Taz is affecting him. And Darby Allin says, "Life is one big joke," and says to Brian Cage, "He'll get the last laugh," meaning referring to himself.
I'll get it.
I'll get him.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this one with what they're doing with Darby Allin. Like, I think is that Brian Cage's post-title match program?
Yep.
Do you want Brian Cage to lose to Darby Allin? Do you want Darby Allin losing to?
I don't know, man.
No.
I don't know. We'll get there. I mean, though, that's the thing. At a certain point, I think good wrestling is going to make us go, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So we'll see what happen. It could be really good. It could be horrible. So,
and again, Tony working overtime. He's interviewing.
The best of days. It could be the worst of days.
It could be the end of days.
Anyway.
So yeah, we got Tony again working overtime here. He's with another interview segment but he's with FTR. He asks what FTR stands for. Dax and Cash says it's a lifestyle and totally not a copyright nightmare. And I think it's super smart to leave that FTR ambiguous, because you could just make that into a ton of shirts.
Yeah,
like you just for the revival, but then like you can make a million shirts out of that.
Yeah.
Business, man, it's business. I was a little preoccupied when during this promo. I heard a lot of good things about it. They name dropped Meltzer. They talk about the Bucks encounter. Tony says some. Go ahead.
They said, everyone calls the Bucks a tag team of the century. Dave Meltzer called them that.
It's like, what does Meltzer know about all? Yeah, Tony, he says, "Fuck the Revival," in a playful way.
Well, because he goes, oh, guys, I always thought FTR stood for "fuck the Revival," and
they just kind of laughed it out, like, it's good jokes, and I'm like, this is a rib.
Yeah.
And then after that, Butcher and Blade storm in wearing their finest painter's gear.
I like their new kind of. It makes them look more like butchers.
Clothes.
It makes them look like butchers.
That's true.
Butcher and the Blade. They should be butchers. I'm sorry, but not with gowns and stuff. But I was butcher for 10 years, and I think.
Do butchers usually wear white?
Yeah.
Oh, they kind of have to, right?
Yeah, because it. I mean, a lot of times we wear like jeans, but like usually long white gowns with a white apron. So.
Is that because they want to know like how the condition of the meat, like if there's too much blood on it or something?
I don't know. I think it's just because like if your apron gets too dirty, it can't hide any of the color, so you gotta be like, "That shit's too dirty."
So you know how dirty it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, that's
just my estimation of it. But.
You don't want dirtiness in regards to meat.
No.
Nope. You got to keep your meats clean.
Yeah.
Kids.
Tell them, Tucky.
Kids, keep your meats clean.
Amen.
For some reason, Mark Quenn's challenging Cody Rhodes for the TNT Championship. We talked about that. Alex Marvez is another interview segment with Alex Marvez interviewing Colt Cabana. Brody Lee does a thing to him, telling him to join the Dark Order in that nonsense.
And Colt Cabana's like, "That's crazy. I would never do that." But then drinks the water that they gave him.
I kind of want Colt Cabana to join Dark Order, but
don't change anything about him.
Exactly what I was going to say. Like, hey, guys, this is the pretty cool meeting we got going on here.
And then they're like trying to get rid of him eventually. They're like, dude, we got to get him out of there.
There should be a segment of him like doing a podcast with.
Welcome to the Dark Order podcast. Yeah. I'm your host, number 11.
How is that not a gimmick yet? How is nobody taking that Colt Cabana?
Yeah, well, he stopped doing a show, so.
I mean, he can just do a fake show.
Yeah.
Within under the guise of AEW. Yeah. Watch like as somebody who was 100% right on the Firefly Funhouse, which I'm still puzzled by that. That's what's going to happen to Colt Cabana. Yeah. You heard it here first. The Oracle of CWR. But our main event, Jungle Boy versus Cody for the TNT Championship. And right off the bat, this came off as like the biggest fucking deal ever, and I'm all for it. I hope every presentation is like this. So Tony says Rey Fenix is going to be in the title picture as well. Like they mentioned Rey Fenix's name, and I just feel like that was just an editing oversight. Like somebody who was editing the show just forgot to edit that out.
Yeah.
But
they scrubbed through that last that 30 seconds of that part. They're like, oh yeah, that part's good.
Yeah. Headlocks on Jungle Boy, putting over Cody's Lassiter High School wrestling accolades. Like the one time he beat that one kid named Austin, which as we would later find out would be Xavier Woods. They trade very loud chops. Cody catches Jungle Boy with a power slam and then a figure four, middle rope springboard DDT to Cody, followed by a tope suicida. Jungle Boy goes for another tope, but is caught and tossed to the crowd. Jungle Boy avoids a headbutt from Cody and hits the concrete retaining wall, thus leading to Juice.
What?
Gig from Cody. This is the point where Cody bleeds in the match.
Oh, yeah.
And I just thought Cody being.
I don't even care anymore, though.
Cody, that's the thing. Like you've just conditioned your audience into thinking this is gonna be the type of match Cody's just gonna have. Like,
yeah, it's like Cody has to bleed now for him to be like. I don't know, man.
There was a lot of criticism for this spot in this match last night. And,
I want blood and guts.
Before that happens, you got MJF and Jungle Boy just straight up like MJF yelling at Jungle Boy, just saying.
I think that was an audible. I think MJF knew what was going on.
I feel like this was part of the show where it's like, why are you getting a title match? I'm undefeated. I beat you. And like a lot of points that a lot of good points MJF is saying. And I just, man, I hope Jungle Boy and MJF are attached to the hip for the rest of their careers. Because I feel like I feel like that's going to be like like the Flair Steamboat, but like the
Each other.
the AEW rivalry, the rivalry in AEW, because like the chemistry between these two, like you have Jungle Boy just being kind of just silent,
Yeah.
but then kind of holding his
That's
own,
Jungle Boy's kind of thing, though. He doesn't
being stoic.
his I've never known Jungle Boy to be the best on the
He's
mic.
He's very humble.
Oh yeah.
I
Very
really think
humble.
he
Very
kind of has,
great
and
great athlete.
to a point like that where that connects with the audience. You know, he's just like he has a gimmick, and yes, it's very, you know, over a little bit over the top, but then it's a thing. It's his thing. But then there's a very humanizing element to Jungle Boy. You know, you have that natural storyline with. I mean, I don't want to call this a story. It's a little bit tasteless to call it a storyline, but you kind of have this thing, with him, like, you know, being the son of Luke Perry and having, you know, Luke Perry passing away, and then you kind of just have that sort of connection with Jungle. It's a very human element, like I said before. But yeah, they argue with each other. Cody bleeds. Something like, Jungle Boy tries to pin Cody repeatedly. He kind of takes advantage of this. I was sort of out of the room and I wasn't able to pause this, but a table gets set up. Like, do you remember who sets up that table?
No.
Well, outside the ring, there's a table just conveniently placed there. And Cody and Jungle Boy, they both fall into it. Cody gets up. Like, I thought this was going to be like a count out and we're going to get like another match out of this. But
no.
But then Cody,
we'll save our count outs for NXT.
Yeah. They get back into the ring. Another schoolboy attempt on Cody, but Cody gets the crossroads, and then Cody retains. And I thought this was a pretty good match. It wasn't could
have taken that 5 minutes off of the first match and added it here, but whatever.
That's true. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good match. Not the best match. Like, I don't even go as far as the match of the week, but they had a fireworks and pyro as they celebrate. Post match, Jungle Boy and Cody, they were just, you see Cody in Jungle Boy's ear. You could tell like he was just praising him.
Good match, kid.
You're the future of this company and all this other stuff. And that was AEW Dynamite.
Yeah, good.
It was taped. It definitely had that sense. Like, there was no picture in picture. I'm beginning to feel like there's a sense of like they do have to tape and they do have to like kind of have like that whole 2-week rest period. Yeah. But I want to say like there are tape shows and there are live shows, and there's a very distinct feeling between the two of them. You know, live does really go a long way, and this definitely just kind of felt that way.
Yeah. Well, let's move on, I guess, from AEW Dynamite to NXT, which also happened last night at the exact same time.
Funny how that works.
You know that. We kicked off the show with Candice LeRae versus Mia Yim. Apparently, Mia Yim is now monikered as Yimitless. LeRae tries to goes toe-to-toe with Yim, but Yim quickly powers out of that, slams her into the corner, hits her with a boot. LeRae takes over, hits her with a couple running sentons to Yim's back, and two women exchanging strikes on the outside. Then we have a wheelbarrow throw to LeRae into the barricade. Both women are too focused on fighting each other that they get both counted out. LeRae hits a sloppy Hurricane Rana to Yim into the NXT Tron. That's when Tegan Knox comes out to hold LeRae back. Then eventually Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez come out to attack Mia Yim. And Shotzi Blackheart soon follows all women fighting. And then all of a sudden, there's an edit. I don't know if this is an editing error or something from what I was watching, but it seemed like it cut from Shotzi Blackheart fucking throwing the shit out of Dakota Kai for the second week in a row to Keith Lee in the ring with Mia Yim and Gargano on the outside. They just appear, and it's WWE, so let's have a mixed tag match. The Gargano.
I'm not in ring gear. I'm not prepared.
Exactly. And you said you didn't watch the show.
No, I did. Like I said, I got full discretion of the viewer and audience. I only got to the point where until after the Adam Cole video, because USA Network streaming decided to tell me to go fuck myself. So I don't know.
Let's see. The Garganos lead because Johnny isn't dressed to compete. Lee grabs Johnny, picks him up, and brings him back in the ring with a military press slam. That's when Lee, he said, toss him into the ring. Lee brings LeRae back into the ring. Bell rings. Yim beats down on LeRae. Yim teases tagging in Lee to get Gargano in the ring. Dragon suplex to LeRae. And then Gargano sweeps Yim's legs. Lee goes after Gargano. Lee goes for a powerbomb, but Gargano gouges his eyes with his own car keys. And Yim just comes back in the ring and rolls up LeRae and a 1-2-3 pin. And the Garganos win this one. We'll see if Keith Lee has an eye patch on coming this Sunday at NXT TakeOver in your house. We have a Karrion Kross, Tommaso Ciampa video pack.
That match, though, Gargano, I mean, you can only be on top for so long, right?
I mean, it's something else. I mean, it's something else for him to do.
Yeah, and I just feel like that's just what Johnny Gargano has been for the past 6 months.
Yeah.
Here's something he can do. He can turn heel. He can do this. He can do that.
Do it all. He's Johnny Gargano.
He's Johnny Wrestling.
Karrion Kross, Tommaso Ciampa video package. Just kind of recapping the last couple weeks. Then we have Mackenzie backstage with Dexter Lumis. She asked a question. She's how do you feel about, Velveteen Dream having a shot at the title? What do you think his chances are? And then Dexter Lumis walks away. Okay, he's walking away. That's typical WWE heel thing to do. But then he walks back into frame with an art pad and like paint and markers, and he starts to draw something. Is this something they did in Dexter? Was he a drawer?
I think it's just one of those. Serial killer traits where they're at the end of the day they're just art. At the end of the day, they're artists.
He's mute,
you know what I mean?
Right?
Like they just have these certain talents.
Yeah, I guess. Then that cuts back in later, and then we cut back to earlier today. Mackenzie, she's interviewing Drake Maverick on the outside when he's coming in on the outside of the Full Sail University while Drake Maverick's coming to the arena. And she asks him, how does he feel about today? And he basically says, it could be the best day of my life. It could be the worst day of my life. But the fact that, he's here fighting for it is just everything he wanted, at least a shot to fight for his job.
He's coming in here. He's coming in guns blazing.
Yeah, Drake Maverick. Then we have Prime Target, Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream. So the Undisputed Era pick up Adam Cole in the limo, complete with Kyle O'Reilly. And it was just a pleasure to see Kyle O'Reilly back. All his facial expressions. Mwah, magnificent. Then we cut to they're just all in a limo going out to dinner to celebrate Adam Cole being champion for 365 days. And they're out having dinner at a restaurant that sounds very packed, but you can't see one other person.
It's ADR. It's just ADR.
Yeah. Then we cut to Velveteen Dream. He's rollerblading around Full Sail University. And he's back in his chair.
Probably the same place where Matt Riddle is doing his electric skateboard.
Exactly.
I'll race you, bro.
Let's go, man. Velveteen Dream is back in his chair. He asks his ladies to bring a mirror and asks the mirrors, mirror, mirror on the wall, who will be the greatest NXT champion of them all? And fucking Prince appears. I started to die. This was hilarious. Prince appears and said, well, it'll be you, Velveteen.
It was never seen. It might as well be Prince, but it was never said to be Prince.
It was Prince.
It was Prince. That guitar, yeah. that was ridiculous, dude. Because I always see these prime. I see these prime targets as like the shit that they did in NXT UK. That's what I expected, but this was just another ridiculous ass WWE ass production. Because it was entertaining. But what I did like, you can just go. What else happened?
No,
okay. Well, they had what's his name, Pat McAfee on on this part where I thought this was actually the best part of this video where he compares him to Dennis Rodman, where he has this flamboyant attitude, but what makes that flamboyant attitude stand out. What legitimizes that flamboyant attitude is that he can actually go. Like he can actually produce in the ring, and he can actually. And this is what McAfee's words, not mine. But then that's what kind of just makes him a cut above the rest.
Yeah.
Like the flamboyancy added with the legitimacy, with the skill.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Again, their words, not mine. But I thought this was a really good way to explain this character.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good whole video package.
It was good. It
had that ridiculousness of the WWE, but then the legitimacy of a documentary, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just like it just wasn't what I thought when I thought of Prime Target, which was those NXT UK vignettes, which are out of this fucking world. The ones who made that Drew McIntyre Scotland Mountain video.
Yeah. Then we have Dexter Lumis, cuts back to him and Mackenzie. Apparently he drew characters, and he is drawing characters of him driving a car with 3 Undisputed Era members in the back seat. So, I mean, my presumption of what's going to happen is that they're going to cut back to Prime Target at NXT TakeOver in your house. They're going to drop Adam Cole off, and they're going to say, later, Adam, have a good match. And all of a sudden, the driver, it's like Undertaker. It's going to be Dexter Lumis, and he's going to get rid of them. And fuck, man, maybe Velveteen Dream is going to win the title. But we'll get into that at the end of the show.
Someone knows.
Tony Nese versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. This is because Swerve threw hella shade at Nese a couple weeks ago, saying, if I didn't win any matches in this NXT tournament, I would quit. I mean, this was a match. They had a lot of back and forth. Jack Gallagher comes out at a certain point to distract Swerve. Nese goes for a sunset driver, but Swerve reverses into a sunset flip for the pin and the win. Gallagher hits the ring, tries to attack Swerve, but he runs away. So I guess Tony Nese and Jack Gallagher are like a tag team again. Weren't they before? I believe they were. I don't fucking know, man. Anymore. That was 205 Live stuff that happened. It's very 205 Live-y. So,
AKA fucking purgatory.
Yeah. Undisputed Era versus Lorcan and Virch versus a mystery team, which turns out to be the return of Breezango. So
fresh off knee injury.
They come out dressed like astronauts, which I'm assuming is a reference to Space Force on Netflix, because I don't see what else they're referencing right now. It's the only thing that's relevant.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Have you seen it?
No.
It's like Steve Carell.
I heard it was not funny.
It's cheesy funny. Like it's good to watch in the background. So Breezango's back, and they have a match with these 2 other teams, and it's a triple threat match. So 3 men in the ring at one time, and they win. I mean, they come back and they win the number 1 contenders. I just didn't see this happening. Beauty shot to fish, followed by an elbow drop by Fandango. Fandango gets the pin and the win, and they will be facing Imperium, I guess, at TakeOver in your house. So
that's definitely a match.
After the match, I mean, it's a match. It's super simple. These guys, didn't they have this match already? Like a year ago when Imperium first came, and because they were saying you disgraced the ring, Fandango. Yeah, they did. This match has already been had, but nonetheless. Imperium comes out after the match, stare down Fandango, and out come Indus Sher, led by Malcolm Bevan. And I mean, fuck, I think we're just going to lead to that match eventually, right?
I mean, one would assume.
Yeah, I mean, what did you think of the triple threat match?
Dude, I didn't see it.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Then I'll just keep going. Let's see. Aaliyah versus Santana Garrett. Oh, sorry. Then we cut back to Chelsea Green. She fired Robert Stone last week. I don't know why.
I think because she's getting called up.
Okay.
Sean Ross Sapp reported that Chelsea Green is getting called up.
Okay. Aaliyah versus Santana Garrett. Aaliyah takes it to Santana, but then a disheveled Robert Stone comes out to cheer on Aaliyah. Garrett hits a handspring moonsault to Aaliyah and gets the pin and the win. I think this is like Santana Garrett's first or second win on NXT TV. So good on her. It seems like they're placing Aaliyah with Robert Stone, and we'll see how that works out.
I had to look up on. I'm looking up on Google who Santana Garrett is. She's the one with the headband.
She's the woman of 1,000 gimmicks.
She's the mechanic. She's the superhero. She's the
exactly 1,000 gimmicks. Prime Target Women's Championship. Rhea Ripley gets up really early because she can. There was not really much to take away
Hey,
from this.
getting up really early in the morning is underrated.
Hey, you know what? Amen to that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Then we have Cameron Grimes versus Bronson Reed, which I wasn't a huge fan of this match because you had Cameron Grimes, who just beat Finn Balor, selling and selling and selling for Bronson Reed.
I mean, on paper, Cameron Grimes versus Bronson Reed isn't that exciting.
No, I'm not a huge fan of
And
Bronson.
I say this as somebody who thinks both their talents are above average.
Yeah. After the match, though, Karrion Kross comes out and hits a Doomsday Saito. The match was Reed beating down on Grimes for about 5 minutes, and then he falls, misses a splash, cave into Reed, pin and win. After the match, Karrion Kross comes out, hits a Doomsday Saito to Bronson Reed, and then Karrion Kross says into the camera, "This Sunday, there will be a very special TikTok." Is he doing fucking TikTok videos or something? The way he words this shit is weird.
I would be down to see TikTok
Him and
videos.
Scarlett just started flossing.
Oh my god.
I don't know.
Of course, yeah, sure, why not? Sure. No, it's just gonna be TikTok videos of just him being like this, where he's just like really close to the screen, just saying stuff while he's talking with his eyebrows because you can't see his mouth. So you're gonna see here right now, and then everything like this.
And then we cut to our main event of the evening. Drake Maverick.
Oh, good.
El Hijo
good.
del Fantasma. This was a match, and it was good. There was a massive sit-down powerbomb to Drake Maverick on the outside. Fantasma dominating Drake. But Drake will not go down for a pin. Another sit-down powerbomb inside the ring, followed by a kick-out. Casadora to Fantasma. Elbow drop to Fantasma. Kick-out at 1. The two fighting on the turnbuckle. Both men fall out, and then out come the Luchadors. They stare down Fantasma, and Drake goes for a tope to the Luchadors, and then Fantasma throws Drake back in the ring, hits a super kick, followed by a Phantom Driver, pins him to become not your interim Cruiserweight champion, but your NXT Cruiserweight champion. No mention of the word interim anymore. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know, man. I don't know what's happened to Jordan Devlin, because I thought that was fucking great. His match a couple months ago when he won the title was a great match. So
wait, so
Jordan Devlin, I guess, was stripped of the title.
No, it's interim. So
they did not mention interim, dude, for like the past 2 or 3 weeks. They've been saying cruiserweight champion. I think he secretly.
You can still say it. I think they are going to go. Really?
I mean, I'm checking on WWE.com right now. Let's see. WWE.com. We're going to get to the bottom of this, even though.
Oh, yes, because the world needs to know the messaging.
I think the world does need to know.
The Cruiserweight Championship.
What did you think? Oh, you didn't see the match. But, I mean, it was.
But like, the thing is, the main takeaway from this week's NXT.
El Hijo del Fantasma, he's. Oh, no. Okay, so I'm correct. You're right. El Hijo.
And I didn't even watch the show.
He's still on the WWE champion page. It says Cruiserweight champion El Hijo del Fantasma / Jordan Devlin. And they should defend it like China and Jericho did when they were intercontinental champions.
So, I mean, they're just going to have a match against each other to figure out who's the undisputed Cruiserweight champion. I mean, by MMA, like rules or rules. So, like, that's the thing, though. Like, Fantasma won, but the main thing coming out of this show was Drake Maverick.
And after the match, he lost, but Papa Triple H comes down and goes, "Here's your graduation papers. You made it, kid." And he gets an NXT contract, and everyone goes, "Yay!"
I don't know how. That's kind of fucked, honestly.
Why?
Because you have this person who was very like Drake Maverick is one amongst the dozens upon dozens of people who got fired, and then it took for Drake Maverick was to pretty much bring out this teary-eyed Twitter video. And I'm not saying this out of fault I'm not saying Drake Maverick is at fault for any of this. In fact, he should be kind of commended for the work that he actually put through on this, I guess. But it's really telling how easily WWE was able to give him his job back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. If he got fired, yeah, I agree. If he
Because
got
that
fired.
dude, because that's, I mean, yeah, you could believe that he was never really, but then wouldn't that be also kind of fucked up that they turned a fight like
Yeah.
in the background of a bunch of people being fired, they made this one of a storyline firing too.
Yeah.
But like nonetheless, like what does that say about like how WWE just treats these sort of situations? Like it just didn't.
I mean, I think we've said it a million times. They're not letting people. They're telling their audience, who are their workers, we are watching you. Have some pep in your step.
It didn't sit well with me, honestly.
Well,
Like, but then like, yeah,
WWE,
no,
man. Like
kudos.
what
Hey, kudos to Drake Maverick of getting his job back and doing that. Like, what by any means necessary, right, for the greater good and all that
Amen to
stuff.
that.
And it's just, and I'm glad he got his job back. But then you also have to look in the background where, during a global pandemic, during where people are being furloughed or being laid off. Nigel McGuinness being one of those people, one of your commentators on NXT. It's a rough look, man. It is a really rough look.
Yeah, I completely agree. But let's we only got a couple minutes left. Let's talk about NXT TakeOver in Your House happening this Sunday night. 6 matches announced for the card. 5 of them matter. We kick off with Mia Yim, Shotzi Blackheart, and Tegan Knox versus Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez. I mean,
it's a match.
Yeah, it's a match. That's our prediction. Keith Lee, Johnny Gargano.
This is gonna be a good one. I actually am kind of looking forward to this one, just to see how Johnny Gargano.
Sure.
I just want to see Johnny Gargano's take on a big man. I just want to see him take on a big man like Keith Lee, and I think they're both very. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I don't see. I mean, I don't know. That's one of the ones I can see going either way too. Adam Cole versus
and Keith Lee can be called up. They're calling up Dijakovic. Might as well call up this other dude.
Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream in a last chance backlot brawl for the NXT Championship.
I think this is a write-up for either person.
I think this is a write-off for Adam Cole. I think Dream is winning the title.
I think Dream is losing, but he's getting called up.
I mean, we'll see. Finn Balor, Damian Priest. I can see the real rock and roller. And the Prince Devitt. Who do you see? Damian Priest, Finn Balor.
I'm going to see Finn Balor. I'm going to say Finn Balor.
Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, NXT Women's Championship. I think it's Io's time. I think it's Io's time to shine. It would be weird for Charlotte to lose it so fast, but I think it's Io's time to shine.
I think, yeah, I want Io to win, and I think Io should have a long reign. But then you end that story. You think this is just a total resignation on the part of Charlotte Flair being NXT champion, thinking that she would bring eyeballs to more people when the majority of the segments that she was involved in have lost viewers in those quarter hours. I can see WWE just being kind of stingy in regards to that. Like they're gonna keep on keeping on with this whole Charlotte Flair thing. So I think Charlotte's winning this, and I think it should be Io should get that title win in a better stage at this point.
And then
but her getting the title would be great regardless.
And the last,
but I think Charlotte's winning.
The last match we're going to talk about is Tommaso Ciampa, Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross, man. I don't think Ciampa's going to.
This is Karrion Kross's welcome mat.
Yeah. Ciampa's going to put him over. He's going to do the job for him. I don't think it's going to be a situation where he's going to take the pin. I think Ciampa's going to be knocked out or some sort of, he passed out due to exhaustion. He never gave up. Look at that.
Yeah, it could just, yeah.
So NXT, AEW, and TakeOver in Your House. Now.
Todd Pettengill. Over and under of him being there.
Yes, over.
I
don't know.
Because Todd Pettengill is over.
But guys, we're going to get out of here for today. That about does it here for us. Next show, I think, TakeOver review. Is that you, Michael? Are you co-hosting?
Sure.
All right. Sure. We will see you guys either Monday morning or Sunday night. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Black Lives Matter.